Welcome, fellow planeswalkers and MTG players of all ages. This is Fatal Draw MTG. I'm your host, Mr. Fatal Draw himself, and welcome to my very first video. And this is a little jerry-rigged. I'm going to have somebody holding the card up to the camera just so y'all can get a better view of what's going on. And I got a janky setup on my phone, but we're going to make it work. So I got into MTG in Theros. Theros block is coming back out, and I was out of playing Magic for a little bit, so Throne of Eldraine come out, and it really spiced me up to where I want to experiment and get back into the game itself. So I stopped playing just right after War of the Sparks, and so when the set come out, I literally bought one box and one bundle and made this deck out of those two and a couple of cards I had left for more of the Sparks. Before we jump into the deck tech, which is going to be a mono white human build, I want to do a quick shout out to Pons Brown. Pons Brown, thank you very much. Congratulations on everything. Thank you for the advice. And a shout out to Bad Boy Gaming. Joey Moss, the Moss Boss, probably one of my favorite YouTubers. Go check both of them out. Both real good guys. And congratulations on Mr. Joey Moss hitting 100K on his subscriber account. And so let's just jump right into the deck tech. That's what y'all really here for. And so we're going to start off with our 1-drops and the creature slots. Okay, so our first card is going to be Venturable Knight. Now, Venturable Knight is a 1-drop that is when a Venturable Knight dies, you put a +1 counter on target knight you control. Now, a lot of people make an argument this is where Healer Hawk should go. Yes, Healer Hawk is a good card. It's got lifelink, it's a flyer, but later on in the deck you'll understand why I've done this. And plus I wanted something with a little bit more beef to it to get through a little bit quicker and put a little bit more damage onto the table. And so we're going to go ahead and run 3 copies of Venturable Knight. And also shout out to the artwork on Throne of Eldraine is very good. It's quite amazing. Second 1-drop, Beloved Princess. Now, Beloved Princess is also a human noble with lifelink, and she cannot be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. Now we have buff spells and anthem effects that go into this deck. And getting those last few points of damage in is very key and very important. And the games I actually played with this, the deck that actually won one of my LGS events in when Warren Sparks was out, this deck took it down no problem, and this card had a lot to do with it, just getting in those few extra points. So we're going to be running 3 copies of her as well. And that said, I know I'm not running a full playset of some of these, but I'm just using what I had in this box and showing y'all that y'all can take very little and make something very good out of it. Okay, so our third slot is our only weird one that y'all are going to probably think is a little out the way. But we're running 2 copies of Fairy Godmother. And I actually want to show you the alternate artwork for it as well, because that is just gorgeous. But anyways, the reason why I'm running this, it's a 1/1 flower, of course, but it's got that secondary ability where you tap 2 and you can give a creature +2/+1 and it gains flying as well. So that's our evasive technique, and that's to get over and get them points of damage in for our creatures. And yes, we are going to be running some of Johnny's Primates in there. So if you get a Johnny up to a 10, and then you can buff them up and have a 12/12 flyer in there. That's pretty awesome. So, that's the only one that's going to be a little janky for y'all, but trust me, it works. It's actually helped out quite a lot as well. So we're going to jump straight into the 2-drop slot now. And you cannot have a Beloved Princess, and you cannot have a Fairy Godmother without a Charming Prince. I mean, come on. But this card, I'm running 4 copies of this one. Charming Prince is a 2-drop, 2/2. When it enters battlefield, you get to choose one. You can scry 2, you can gain 3 life, you can exile another target creature you own and return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. That can be used in a couple of different ways, such as ETBs, effects that you want to get in, or if they try to kill off your creature, you can, in response, do something like that and get it off the field and get it back in your hand. Or if you want to drop another one of your knights out for another card coming up to get another token off of it, that's a good way to do it. And I'm running the full 4 copies of him because he's quite amazing. He's done really well in this deck as well. Moving on to our next 2-drop is Worthy Knight. Worthy Knight is a 2/2, and whenever I cast a Knight spell, notice how it says Knight spell. It does not say a creature, it's any kind of Knight spell. Create a 1/1 white human creature token. We are trying to fill up this board as quickly as possible. And as long as we avoid board wipes, and we got cards that we can hold back and we can still get damage through. So pumping out a creature every turn that you play this, you can play multiple Worthy Knights and get trigger after trigger after trigger. And we're running a full 4 copies of him as well. Now, next one is going to be Mr. Johnny's Pride Beating himself. This one was in War of the Sparks, and like I said, there's a few cards I had left over that I put in there for it. Couldn't find my 4th one, so we're working with 3, but we're going to make it work. But a Johnny's Pride Mate is a cat soldier. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on a Johnny's Pride Mate. And you've seen that we have lifelink, and we got other ways with spells and planeswalkers to be able to get that lifelink. And you can beef this guy up pretty quickly and get pretty nasty with him pretty quick. And with the help of Godmother, you go flying. He's got evasiveness as well. So we're going to be running the 3 copies of him. Now, we move on to our 3 drops for the slot of creatures. And let's see if I can get this name right. Annabel Tactician. And by the way, the artwork is just gorgeous on these cards. Look at it. It's amazing. But it's a human knight. It's a 3-drop, 1/2 planes. And it's a venture ability. And it's an instant speed. It's called Dizzy Swoop. Tap up to 2 target creatures. Okay? And when you're able to tap up to 2 target creatures, you can shut down your opponent and get through with your smaller guys that you're wanting to get through. And you got your opponent with heavy blockers on the other side. And then you can also cast it for its regular cost. 2/3 flyer is not that bad at all for a 3 mana. So, and it is a knight as well, so it works with our Worthy Knight, and it works with our Venturable Knight. So put +1 counters on him. Yet again, we got evasiveness. This is why we do not need healers like in this deck. So we're running a full 4 copies of him as well. Now, for our final creature count, this is what it's based around right here, is the Dean, the Steadfast Queen. Now, she is a 3-drop with Vigilance, and whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. Now, do not get this confused with some aspects to where you attack with 20 creatures and you only gain 1 life. This is whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. If you attack with 4 white creatures, you get 4 life. Okay, and that triggers a Johnny 4 different times. So in 1 turn, you can put 4 counters on a Johnny by swinging with 4 creatures, which is very easy to do with this deck. And she is a legendary creature, and she's a 3-drop, and she's a 3/3, and she has the Vigilance, but we only want to run 2 copies of her because of the legendary factor. We don't want to run with 2 or 3 of these in our hand, and we can only play 1, and we're stuck with it because we can't play anymore after that. So we're going to be only running 2 copies of her, but she really buffs up the game. Now, we're going to move on to our instants and sorceries, starting off with one from War of the Sparks. It is Battlefield Promotion. This is an instant 2-drop. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. That target creature gains 1st strike until end turn. Notice that, 1st strike, very important too. And you gain 2 life, so it triggers a Johnny again. and you can put +1 counter on a Johnny, give him first strike, gain your 2 life, he gets another counter. You see where this starts getting out of control pretty quickly. So we're going to run 3 of them as well. Next, we do have 1 drop in the instant, and that is Take Heart. Take Heart is, I was debating whether to keep this one in or not, but I figured we need another 1 drop to level out our deck, so this is what I went with. Target creature that you control gets +2/+2 into the end turn. You gain 1 life for each attacking creature you control. And we can get a lot of creatures on board, which, yet again, you gain life for each creature you control that's attacking. You're attacking with 5, you get 5 life, trigger Johnny 5 times. So, we're going to run 1 copy of it as well. This next one is one of the cooler cards, and I actually got this in the sideboard as well. And the legendary artifact, the Circle of Loyalty. Circle of Loyalty would be a 6-drop on most occasions, but this spell costs 1 less to cast for each knight you control. So if we have 4 knights on the board, it only costs us 2 of our mana to play it. And it's the Anthem effect. Creatures you control get +1/+1. I would run 2 of these in this deck if I had a little bit more knights in here, but I don't, so I went with 1. And whenever you cast a legendary spell, you get to create a 2/2 white creature token with Diligence. You can also use this and pay for and create a knight as well. So, I mean, the triggers on it is pretty ridiculous, and it really helps us out with buffing up our guys and filling the board up, even if we get board wiped out. So, Circle of Loyalty, you can debate if you want to run 2 in this deck. It'd be just fine. You could probably take out Take Heart and replace it with this, but I went with just 1 of these in this case. Now, moving on to our other instant sorceries. Next one is Rally for the Throne. It's an instant, and you get to it's a 3-drop. You get to create 2 1/1 human creature tokens, and it has Adamant. Adamant is if you used at least 3 white mana to spend to cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. There we go with the life link again that triggers our Pride Mate. That it's just snowball effect with the amount that we can do on this. And of course, we're always going to have Adamant because we're a monocolored deck, so we do not have to worry about that. And with Theros coming up, single colored decks are going to be running the format, I think, a lot more than what people think they are. So we're going to run 2 copies of Rally for the Throne. Next, we have our artifact, which is Heretic Banner. I believe I said that right. If I didn't, probably not. You know what? I'm going to call it that. It's a banner. It's another Anthem effect, basically. I get to choose a color. It's going to be white, of course. When it's the battlefield, choose color. And creatures of the chosen color gets +1/+0. And you can tap it to add 1 mana of chosen color. So on top of it being an artifact, it's a 3-drop. You can use it for an Anthem effect or to tap for extra mana that you might need. And so we're going to leave it with 1 copy in there as well. Just because, like I said, did not pull anymore. I probably would have ran 2, or Icon and Ancestry, I believe is the other one. That's another really good card. But we're only going to run 1 of that now. The next one coming up is we got to shut our opponents down and tick them off a little bit. So we're going to be running 3 copies of Prison Realm. Prison Realm is a 3-drop. It's an enchantment. When Prison Realm enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Prison Realm leaves the battlefield. And when it enters the battlefield, you get to scry 1. So, I mean, we get to shut one of our opponent's big guys down, and we get to scry. That's looking good. We're going to run 3 copies of this as well. So, we're going to move on to our last sorcery, which is Silver Flame Ritual. Now, this card is, I think, a little underrated, actually, especially for this deck. I could probably add one or two more if the mana count was right. It's sorcery speed. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Adamant. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast this, creatures you control gain vigilance until the end of the turn. It's a 4-drop, but trust me, it's worth it. Getting your board state built up and putting a +1 counter on everything, and then having the ability to swing in and still block on your next turn is very key. So I'm only running one copy of it, but that's another one you get replaced with Rally to the Throne. You could throw Silver Flame Ritual in there as well. But that's it for instant sorceries. But we do have Planeswalkers in this deck. And our first one is going to be a Johnny's Strength of the Pride. Since I couldn't find my Johnny's Pride mate, why not have a Planeswalker that creates a Johnny's Pride mate? It's a 4-drop. It's also another legendary creature or legendary Planeswalker. So it triggers off of our Circle of Loyalty, and its +1 ability is you gain life to the number of creatures you control. Yet again, this triggers into our Pride mates. So we have 5 creatures on board. We gain 5 life. Triggers it out. Johnny gets them buffs on there. The next 2, you basically get to create a Johnny's Pride mate. So that's awesome. It's 0 cost ability. And it's a 5 loyalty as well. It's 0 cost ability. If you have 15 or more life, then your starting life total. Exile Johnny's Strength of the Pride and each artifact and creature your opponent controls. So if you get up to 35 life, and you can with this deck very easily, you can completely dismantle their entire board and freely swing in. So Johnny is a very good add into that, and I think he fits that very well. I think that as high as we go is actually in this deck as a 4-drop, so fits right in that slot. The next one is probably my favorite Planeswalker in general, besides Sorin. But that's going to be Gideon Blackblade, and Gideon has always been a favorite of mine in any way that they printed it. But this one is a 3-drop, and of course, Legendary Planeswalker goes triggering our abilities again off of our Circle of Loyalty. As long as it's your turn, Gideon Blackblade is a 4/4 soldier creature with indestructible that's still a Planeswalker. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to Gideon during your turn. So with 3 mana, you're getting a 4/4 indestructible creature basically every turn, and a Planeswalker, because you can still activate these abilities. And +1 up to one other target creature that you control gains your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, Indestructible until the end of the turn. That's pretty awesome. And then it's next 6, if you want to take out something that you just want to get rid of the other person's board, it's next 6, exile target non-land permanent. And this card was real popular in my Orders Off build that I had in War of the Sparks that actually won my LGS. And eventually I'll do a deck take on it to show y'all what it looked like, because that deck was amazing. Orders Off is probably my favorite color combination. Black-white's always has been. So, but yeah, we're going to be running 2 of these guys as well. And then it's actually going to be it for our creatures and sorceries. Now we move on to our lands. Our lands are pretty simple. We are running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 regular planes. Okay? That's all we need for the planes. And we're going to be running all 4 copies of idyllic Grange. Now, it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more planes, which on occasion we might not have, but the majority of the time we are. And when it enters the battlefield untapped, you get to put a +1 counter on a target creature you control. Again, it buffs up our guys. It's a white weenie deck that can just buff itself up, and we're going to run a full playset of this as well. So, and moving on to our last two lands that we're going to be running. First one is Castle Ardenvale, which, God, look at that artwork, and it's just gorgeous. I really love the artwork on that one. But it enters battlefield tap unless I control planes, which we're going to control planes. And then that secondary ability, being able to tap down 4 to create a 1/1 white human creature token. You can, even if your hand's empty, you can still be pumping out creatures left and right. So we got the 1 copy of that in there as well. And for our final one, this one's probably going to seem a little odd, but Karn's Beastie. Okay. Now, the reason why I put this in the deck is you've seen how many counters we can get on creatures and how much we can get on them. And it has Proliferate. And Proliferate, you tap 4 and tap this big old beastie down, and you get to choose any number of permanents and or players and give another counter to each of them. So, you got your Johnny's out, you got a board full of creatures that we just put 1 counter on. You just tap this down each turn and start putting more counters on them. And they're literally going to have to board wipe us to get out. So this isn't a white weenie Pacific build where it's just going to get shut down by a mid-range deck or something like that. We can work our way around it. And like I said, I built this out of 1 box and a bundle, and then a couple cards I had left over before I started back into Magic. So that actually completes the build, and I've tested this deck quite a few times already against some other decks that I've built out of Throne of Eldraine, and it's worked out very well in my favor. And I'm going to continue doing this, so if y'all can please do me a favor, just go ahead and smash that subscribe button and tippy tap that little bell right there so you can get a notification every time I drop a new vid. We'll be doing deck tech vids. We'll be doing box openings, pack openings, giveaways. I'll take you to tournaments that I go to, show you the results vid. I'll even put the camera behind me and watch you, or let y'all watch the match as it proceeds. For the MTG community out there, thank you for everything y'all done. Magic has been a part of my life in a very effective way since I met my beautiful wife, actually at my very first LGS that I went to when I first started playing. And so it holds a special meaning to me. And the community out there is a good group of people, and y'all just continue to draw well and be blessed, and I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. And as I said, it would really help the channel out if you can subscribe, and if you enjoy the content, let me know. And while we're at it, go ahead and throw down some comments down below of what you want to see next, maybe what kind of deck tech you want to see built, and then also tell me your favorite artwork and or card from Throne of Eldraine, and let me know what your thoughts is on the upcoming meta and the effect that Pioneers had on some of it. Until then, guys, this is Fatal Draw, and I'm out. Deuces. Love y'all, and I'll be seeing y'all again.